Hey, buddy. I love you.
I do. I think you're gonna go see cars.
You're gonna go see cars? Okay.
The cars on the house is this, those cars. Those cars are, it goes fast on the radio sound, and then go fast, and there's wheels on it. And there's colors on it.
There's wheels and colors? Yes.
Yes.
Shepherd, do cars make you happy?
Cars. Yes. I love cars that make happy.
Oh, good. That's awesome. I'm so glad. I've heard so many parents say that their ultimate goal for their children is that they'll just be happy. That if they accomplish nothing else for their kids, if only they could leave them happy, that'd be the greatest thing they could do. And I think that there's something in every parent that wants to see their child happy. I know that I surely love to see my son happy, but it's not my ultimate goal for him. Because I know if someday he comes to me and he says, Dad, how can I achieve for myself happiness? And I tell him to make it his ultimate goal. Well, he surely will find himself unhappy. You know, the funny thing about happiness is that there's no security in it. It's not something that we own. It's something that we feel. It's something we experience. And so many things in life are really unstable. One day, I may be riding the top of that roller coaster of happiness, and the next, I'm in the deep, dark valley. And if I live my whole life chasing happiness, I'm going to be going on this up and down roller coaster. I'm not sure that that's what a parent should want for their child. I think that happiness, it should never be the goal, but it is the result of a life well lived. And I see that there are 8 keys to achieving a life well lived that will result in happiness. So if happiness is something you desire, these 8 keys will unlock it. If you chase happiness in and of itself, you will fail. But if you commit yourself to these things, you will find happiness. So the first key to living a life filled with happiness is to be this. It's to be humble in spirit. And what I mean by that is to stop taking yourself so seriously. It's to remember that in the grand scheme of life, you are small and inconsequential and short-lived. Our life here on this earth, it's a vapor. It's a moment. To quote a good old Kansas song, we are dust in the wind. We're just another drop of water in an endless sea. Now, I think many of you may hear me say that and feel condemned. Like, the world has told me that I'm the main character of my story and that I can amount to so much and that this moment is so important and I need to take that very seriously. I'm not telling you not to try. I'm not telling you not to squeeze every last drop out of this life. But what I am saying is that along the way, having the perspective that in all that this life offers, we are just so little. We're almost nothing at all. You and I, compared to all the other people of this world, bring very little to the table. The beauty of being human isn't that you are special. It's that all of us together create something that's very special. It's not one, it's many, it's all. And so, in that spirit, when you stop taking life so seriously, you leave so much more space for gratitude. You leave so much more space to think about other people. You leave so much more space to recognize that you don't have to control every little thing. That sometimes the best thing you can do is live like a child and have faith. Faith that I would tell you to place in the Lord, who is in control of all things and has a great and mighty plan that he has purposed and chosen you to play a little small piece of. That's a beautiful thing. Recognizing that will fill you with happiness. So what's the second key? The second key to living a life filled with happiness is to learn how to mourn. I know the first two may not have been what you were expecting me to say, but I think the happiest people are those who recognize life is full of twists and turns, ups and downs, so many changes. And a lot of times it's filled with loss and heartbreak and letdown. And it's in learning how to deal with failure, learning how to deal with regret and with loss, that we actually find the joy. But unfortunately, so many people, they don't want to appear as if they are weak or like they need any help, so they refuse to invite other people into their grief. And in so doing, they live these lonely, narrow, joyless lives. But when you invite somebody into your pain and you're willing to be vulnerable, what do you receive? Comfort. The one who mourns will be comforted. It's the person who refuses to mourn and grieve the hard things that they experience in life that ends up bottling up all of their emotions, never processing them, and eventually finds themselves completely calloused, cold, and hard towards the world around them, filled with angst and hate and rage that they never had to hold on to, but they never allowed somebody to help them deal with the things that they're going through. We need to learn how to mourn if we care to be happy people. Okay, on to number 3. The third key to living a life filled with happiness is to be meek. Well, what is the difference between being humble in spirit and being meek? Humility of spirit is something I see that is very much so an inward expression, while meekness, it's outward. Somebody who's meek is someone who is secure. It's somebody who's actually quite confident and sure of their power, but because they know themselves, their gifts, and their talents, they don't feel like they need to lord that power over somebody else or boast of all the good things that they can do, but rather they are somebody who shows dignity to everyone, views all as their equal, someone who is willing to be gentle and kind, even with the people who are not gentle and kind to them. Somebody who's meek walks around with a calm assurance of who they are. There's so much happiness in that. It's the person who always needs to tell you how wonderful they are that is the most unhappy, because they are riddled with insecurity and they're constantly hoping that maybe somebody else will affirm them. Whereas the person who's meek has already found affirmation, not in and of themselves, but I would point that affirmation upward. Now on to the next. What is the fourth key to living a life that is full of happiness? It's to hunger to do what is right. Somebody who has a drivenness towards being righteous. Because the person who is constantly seeking that which is right finds themselves satisfied. The person who is looking to care for other people finds themselves cared back. The person who speaks with honesty, who puts others before themselves, who seeks to do what is right even when nobody is looking, especially when it's hard, they're the one who finds the most satisfaction in life. The person who is constantly just looking to do right by themselves finds themselves empty and hollow, because there really is very little meaning and purpose in trying to satisfy ourselves. But the person who looks to do right by others, to do what is right in the grand scheme of the world, who wants to leave just a tiny ripple. If we're just a drop in an endless sea, at least we can leave behind a ripple of hope and change and good with our life. And you do that by every single day being committed in your character and your conduct to do the right thing. And you will find that that makes you way happier than you even realize. Don't do good for yourselves, do good for others, but it will have a wonderful personal effect. All right, on to number 5. The 5th key to living a life that is filled with happiness is to be merciful. Merciful. What's it mean to show mercy? Someone who shows mercy doesn't give somebody the thing that they deserve. We live in a life that is riddled with evil. I mean, it's teeming with it, spilling over. And so even though at some point you are going to be affected by that evil that is all around us, it doesn't mean that you have to return evil with evil. You don't have to be vengeful. You don't have to try and seek out retribution. You can return evil with good. You can show mercy. And what I think may be the most beautiful piece about showing mercy to somebody else is that when we show mercy, there's a certain law at work within the natural world. You reap what you sow. If you sow discord, well, what do you reap? Discord. But if you sow mercy, what do you reap? Mercy. There's a unique order to the world that if we are kind and generous and merciful to others, well, maybe in this life or maybe in the life to come, we receive those very same things. The things that we sow, we reap. Reciprocity is a very real thing. So be merciful. If somebody treats you poorly, kill them with kindness. Go out of your way to be so generous to the people who are the cruelest to you. I can think of a couple of different people in my life who were just the most unkind to me. And what I found is that when I was merciful to them, I was stepping outside of what I felt to consider what they may be feeling, to consider that they may be hurting, that they may be going through something extremely difficult in their life, and they weren't trying to be unkind to me just for the sake of being unkind, but they just couldn't hold in the pain that they were feeling. And it's when you're kind to those people instead of unkind like they were to you that you can have like the biggest difference in somebody's life. And some of like the happiest moments that I can think of relationally with other people, especially with people I haven't been as close with, was when I met somebody with kindness who was unkind to me, and it opened a door. It opened a door for them to take a step back, recognize, man, why did I just treat you like that? And actually then receive love, the love that they needed, the love that they were seeking, but they were just lashing out because they were hurting. Be merciful. If you want to live a happy life, be merciful. Okay, number 6, the 6th key to living a life that is filled with happiness is to be pure. I want you to think about it. If you live a life full of deceit, if you're constantly lying behind people's back, backstabbing, doing things that you know that you shouldn't, sneaking around in the dark, sinning when nobody's watching, well then you're constantly paranoid. And there's no happiness, there's no joy in paranoia. But the person who knows that they've lived in a way that is upright and pure, who is innocent, they are not scared that somebody's going to come banging down their door and find all their dirty laundry in the closet, because they know that they're not filled with impurity. There's such a peace, a serenity that comes with living a life that is pure. If you do the right thing, you don't have to be afraid of the consequence, because you did what was right. You did what was pure. You did what was honest. If you want to live a happy life, be pure. Don't have a bunch of skeletons in your closet. And if you do, it's okay. You can choose right now to put those things away. Bring them to the light. Confess them to somebody else. And you can be made pure again. That's one of the beautiful things about life, is that there is redemption in this world. What an amazing thing redemption is. And it's yours to have if you want it. Purity is not something that we only had as children, and when we lost our innocence, we could never regain it. You can, I promise. And if you live a life that is pure, you don't have to be afraid. And when you're not afraid, it's a lot easier to be happy. Okay. The seventh key to living a life that is filled with happiness is to be a peacemaker. You've probably heard of peacekeepers, but maybe you've never heard of a peacemaker. And I want you to know the two are very different. So many people in this world, they are peacekeepers. They are placaters. They are appeasers. They are, people pleasers who are constantly pacifying situations. And I've learned something since becoming a dad. I've learned that when a baby poops in their diaper, a binky doesn't solve the issue. When Shepherd goes to the bathroom in his pants, what does he need when he's sitting there crying because it's no fun to have a poop in your pants? He doesn't need a binky. He needs me to be proactive. He needs me to go and actually procure a change. And that is so true of life. There's so many moments, so many awkward moments, so many moments where maybe we encounter someone who's bullying us or taking advantage of us or who is just hurting somebody else. And the way forward is not just to pacify, because eventually, if you just placate a situation long enough, it will explode in on itself. But if you go and you deal with it head on, you can procure for yourself the conditions necessary for there to be peace. And when you live in peace, you live in happiness. The two are almost synonymous. Peace and happiness, they are one and the same. I want you to live a life of peace, but you can only live a life of peace if you're willing to confront the things in your life that are robbing you of peace. Confront those things. That might mean going and having a conversation with somebody. That might also mean completely cutting somebody out. One or the other is both a proactive measure instead of sitting back and placating, and in it you are accomplishing the conditions necessary for you to have peace. Peace is so important. Find peace. Make peace. Make peace. And you will be happy. All right. Number 8, the 8th and final key to living a life that is filled with happiness is to be contented and even joyful when you're persecuted. If you do all the 7 things that I've said before, you will look entirely different from the vast majority of the people around you in this world. So many people will probably look at you a little funny because if you've made it this far, you probably weren't expecting maybe even one of the 8 keys that I've placed in this list. And so many people are probably going to mock and jeer and make fun of you if you choose to live your life in this way. But when you live a life full of conviction that sometimes stirs other people up and causes them to even feel a little bit of hatred towards you or to try to come against you, there's a strange thing that takes place. There's a certain satisfaction with knowing that you stood up for what was right. And even if other people couldn't see it or understand, you know deep in yourself that you did what was right. There is deep, deep joy in that. Right, buddy?
I got here.
Oh, nice. Let me see.
That's Mama's shoe.
Huh. Is that? I don't know. Might be. So having heard those 8 keys to happiness, let me leave you with this. Everything that I said is nearly impossible to accomplish. To be humble in spirit, to know how to mourn, to be meek, to be hungry, to do right, to be merciful, to be pure in spirit, to be a peacemaker, and to be content with persecution. Man, that is not easy. The only way that you can accomplish these 8 things, in my opinion, is to give your life to the Lord. It's to put your faith wholeheartedly in Jesus Christ and the price he paid for your life, your small, inconsequential, short-lived life. He saw that as being valuable enough and worthy of laying down his own life, taking divinity and putting it in flesh, and then dying. Serve Jesus, and he'll give you a helper. That helper is God, the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit will enable you to live a life of meaning, to live a good life, to accomplish these things. Remember how I talked about being humble in spirit? The truest way you can be humble in spirit is to recognize that you are spiritually bankrupt. Your life is riddled with sin. You've done wrong in so many ways. You've fallen short of the mark, and you know it. And yet there's something in you that longs for a place that you have never been, a place that doesn't exist on this earth, a place that is beyond this world, that is filled with the ultimate happiness, the presence of the one who made you, who left a gaping hole inside of your heart that he could only fill, who has allowed you to experience happiness here on earth so that you could have a sneak peek, just a tiny taste of what he has to offer you for eternity if you would be willing to give him control, to trust in him with all of your heart, to lean not on your own understandings, but in all your ways to acknowledge him so that he could direct and make your path straight. He'll lead you on the road to a good life, a life that is filled with happiness, a life that is blessed. But he's waiting for you to make the first move. Trust in him, and he can make you the happiest you've ever been. Peace. Let's go, buddy.
Go away.